You're listening to Big World Network.
Subprimeval, Episode 7, Traffic Cam, Part 1. Written by Robert S. C. Cutler. Read by Ryan Jones. Warning: although there is no material subject matter within that couldn't be found in any general bookstore with no age constraint, this series is rated 18 and contains adult situations and content. Chilled from the cool night air, Claire Davis walked toward the police precinct's front desk with her arms wrapped across her body. In between fighting with her parents and trying to figure out if she and Gator had enough money to hire a lawyer, she hadn't stopped crying all evening. Her father had been his usual difficult, argumentative self. Her mother's suggestion that a night in jail might do her son-in-law some good had almost been worse. After 4 hours of bickering back and forth, Jean and Abby had agreed to loan their daughter $500, as long as it was paid back within 3 months. The night duty officer's gaze locked onto Claire as she approached the front desk. He studied her baggy sweats, frizzy hair, and unmade face, probably thinking she must be another meth addict there to bail out her loser husband or boyfriend. "We're closed," the night duty officer said. Claire spoke softly. "I'm here to check on my husband." "Come back in the morning with the rest of the dutiful wives," the officer smirked. Claire set her jaw and clenched her fists. Her eyes were red and puffy, and she had a splitting headache from crying. She slapped her hands down flat on the desk and leaned forward, causing the officer to back up. 2 officers talking in the adjacent hallway noticed the tense situation and started toward them. "Don't give me that crap! My husband is a police officer!" With nothing else to give, Claire broke down in tears. "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" a stocky officer said as he approached. His hair was fashioned in a Marine style, high and tight, and he had his thumbs latched inside his utility belt. Claire thought he looked like a World War II-era German stormtrooper. Trying to choke back her tears, she took a deep, quivering breath. "Where's my husband?" The second officer took up point between the front desk and double glass doors, just in case the situation turned violent. The night duty officer stood ready to restrain her if need be. The stocky officer with the Marine haircut stared at her with a foreboding expression. They just wanted her to leave. "Ma'am, you need to exit the premises and return back tomorrow with the bail bond," the stocky officer said. "You are holding my husband and I want to see him now." "You're not listening to me, ma'am. If you want to bail out your husband, you'll have to wait until the morning, because all of the bail bond businesses are closed. It's 11:30 for Christ's sake." With her frustration level at its peak, Claire just wanted to scream and pound her fists on something, or someone. Every effort to help her husband that night had been met with arguments and stubborn attitudes. "My husband is Officer Clem Davis, and I—" "Does he work here?" the night duty officer asked. "Yes, that's what I've been trying to tell you." "Did you say Officer Jim Davis up on the 3rd floor? He works day shift," the stocky officer said. "Clem with a C, Davis," Claire said, accentuating the C. "I think she means Gator," the night duty officer snickered. "Wasn't he brought in for murder?" the stocky officer said. "We really can't help you if that's the case. You're gonna need a really good lawyer." The night duty officer shook his head. "Not arrested. The lieutenant just wanted to teach him a lesson. Put him in his own private cage so the regular perps didn't give him a hard time." "Gator, what a goofball that one is," the officer standing between the front desk and the front door said. "It's a wonder he ever became a cop." "His name is Clem, not Gator, and he's not a goofball. He's my husband," Claire growled. Gator and another officer walked off of the elevator and into the lobby. Upon seeing her husband, Claire broke down into tears and ran to him. The two held each other tight for about 30 seconds until Claire pushed away and let Gator have it. "What did you do, Clem?" she cried. Was all that Gator could get out. "Do you know how worried I was for you? Do you know what kind of hell I've been through tonight? In all my years of knowing you, I've been nothing but supportive, fighting for your reputation, pushing back when my parents were being negative about our marriage, trusting you when we left Indiana for an uncertain future in Kansas. But this? I don't even know what's going on. Claire looked at the floor and shook her head. You know, I can hardly remember driving here. Must have run at least 2 red lights. All I could think of was my father's provoking words, saying over and over that he warned me not to marry you, threatening to not help us out and just leave you to rot in jail. Claire looked back up at Gator, pleading with her eyes. Is he right, Clem? Are you ruining any chance I have at a decent life? Gator's shoulders sagged in defeat. After what the lieutenant had just put him through, he didn't have the energy to dispute his father-in-law's cruel words. He just stood there, looking away. Claire wiped her eyes and then her nose with the back of her hand. She turned away from Gator and walked toward the double-glass doors. Gator dutifully followed with downcast eyes. You two make a nice couple, the night duty officer said with a smirk. The other 2 officers chuckled, looking anywhere else but at Gator and Claire. Claire stopped and tensed up. She lost control of her composure and turned the night duty officer's way. Have you ever bothered to look in the mirror? You're not too attractive yourself. She then turned her attention toward the stocky officer, looking him up and down. And somebody must have really taken pity on you. What's his name? Gator was stunned by the words coming out of his wife's mouth. In all the years they had been together, he hadn't ever seen Claire this angry. Perturbed, yes, and quite often at him. Claire's pleasant, bubbly face and positive outlook on life was gone, replaced by weary, untrusting eyes and a sharp, biting tongue. Gator started to smile, but stopped short when he felt the hot, angry gaze from Claire's eyes. She continued through the front doors. He picked up the pace right behind her. Damn, dude, that was cold, said the officer standing between the desk and the front doors. He paused a moment. So what's his name, Mike? He asked the stocky officer. Screw you, jackass. All 3 busted out in laughter. The following morning, Claire threw down the credit card receipt for the new uniforms onto the kitchen table, next to Gator's cereal bowl. They better reimburse you. Already turned in the paperwork, Gator smiled, trying to lighten the tense mood. When do we get the money? I don't want to get charged interest because you're careless and the department's slow. Knowing his answer was going to make Claire angrier, Gator softly responded and cringed. 6 to 8 weeks, maybe? Claire turned away and wiped a tear from her eyes. When she turned back around, the perturbed look on her face made Gator slump in his chair. Give me your debit card, Clem. My debit card? Why do you... Claire yelled loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I just went through our bank account. $7 a day on fast food? No wonder we can't get ahead. Just because we have money in the bank doesn't mean you can spend it all. I'm sorry, Don't talk to me, Claire said as she walked into the bedroom. Oh, and no more energy drinks until the credit card is paid off. She slammed the door, leaving Gator feeling useless and dejected. Having lost his appetite, he pushed away the half bowl of soggy corn puffs and laid his head down on the table. That afternoon, Gator walked through what felt like a gauntlet of judgmental eyes as he traveled from the lobby to Sergeant Pope's desk. The lieutenant passed by saying, Last chance, Officer Davis. Don't screw this one up. Gator had the urge to respond, but didn't have the nerve. He knew he'd been in the wrong calling in an anonymous tip instead of reporting what he'd seen as an officer. But he'd been so terrified. He hadn't realized the lieutenant would make an example out of him, make his wife think he'd actually been arrested for murder, when they were actually going easier on him than he probably deserved. He sighed at every person he passed. Jailbait, Pope greeted. Nice uniform. You finally look the part. Just tell me where to go, Gator said in a defeated tone. Armory first. You'll need a service revolver, a fully equipped utility belt, radio, and a vest. Gator couldn't believe what he was hearing. For over 6 months, he had been deemed unworthy to carry anything other than a badge. A couple of days after he commits the biggest screw-up of his short career, he gets rewarded with being a real cop. Swing shift isn't as well staffed as days, so you'll need to be available to go on calls, if they're short-handed. Really? Gator smiled. Don't get your hopes up, Davis. You're not well liked, so you'll probably be the last one picked for a team. Just like high school PE, Pope laughed. Gator walked into the cramped and dark traffic control room adjusting his new utility belt and vest. Nate Henderson, one of the 2 young officers manning the monitors, turned to see who had walked into the room and cursed when he saw Gator standing there with a grin on his face. Are you shitting me? We have to train Gator? As if this job didn't suck enough already, Dwayne Nevitz, the second officer, said. Hey guys, Gator greeted. We haven't seen each other since graduation. How's it been going? Good until now, Henderson said. He looked over Gator and shook his head. You won't need to wear that vest in here, G.I. Joe. Yeah, the motorists on the monitors don't usually shoot at us, Nevitz added. He pointed to the coat hooks on the wall. Just hang it up there. Henderson got up and walked out of the room. He's all yours, Nevitz. Gotta take a load off my mind, if you know what I mean. It's nice that we'll be working together, Dwayne, Gator said. You'll be working with Henderson, not me. They're sending me to work in the jail. Wow, that's like a step up, isn't it? Not really. The lieutenant overheard me and another guy talking about racial inequality in the workplace and thought we meant here. So now he's patrolling the Plainview neighborhood, and I'm being sent to that nasty assignment. You're being reassigned because you're black? Gator asked. You don't listen very well, and you of all people should know the only way to please the lieutenant is to stay off his radar. Have a seat, and I'll show you how all this works. Gator sat next to Nevitz in front of a bank of monitors showing live feed of all the major intersections in Wichita. One busy intersection on the east side of town had 2 cars wrecked, smack in the middle. Nevitz put on his headset and switched the monitor's view. Collision at Rock and 13th. Already on their way? Sorry, breaking in the new guy. Man, you really got me into trouble. He turned to Gator. Just follow what I do and try not to ask any questions. Gator sat back away from the monitors and watched Nevitz work. The concept seemed pretty simple. If one lane of traffic was building up, send the command to change the lights to override the timers. And if there was an accident, call it into dispatch. Henderson walked back into the room. Get out of my chair. Gator quickly got up. This looks like a lot of fun, he said in an attempt to break the ice. You would think so, Henderson said. I can't believe I'm going to be stuck with you every night. Nevitz got up from his chair and stretched. Have a seat and try it out, Gator. Don't touch anything unless I tell you to, Henderson said. Gator sat down and immediately spotted a fresh wreck. Holy buckets, that truck is all smashed up. Henderson spoke calmly into his headset. We have a collision at 21st and Mays. 2 vehicles, possible injuries. 10-4. Good catch, Gator, Nevitz said. Lucky, Henderson scoffed. Around 7 p.m., the traffic in and around Wichita thinned out. Henderson and Nevitz left Gator in charge with strict instructions not to change any traffic lights. Put the headset on so you can hear the traffic as well as see it. You'll catch more wrecks that way. You can go from screen to screen using the arrow keys. You'll be amazed at some of the shit you'll hear. Let us know if you see anything. We'll take care of the radio until you're up to speed, Nevitz said. I'm flying if you're buying. Sammy subs? Henderson offered. No thanks. I brought my lunch, Gator said, thinking he would much rather have a roast beef sandwich instead of the bologna and cheese he had made himself. Henderson took off down the hall and yelled, Your loss! I'll be in the break room next door. We'll relieve you after we eat, Nevitz said. Over the next couple of hours, Nevitz and Henderson periodically popped their heads in the door and checked on Gator. Taking full advantage of their trainee, the two spent most of their time in the break room playing on their phones. A good hour after they had eaten their dinner, Henderson brought Gator his. With an apology, he barked at Gator to make sure he didn't get any crumbs on the keyboard because they weren't allowed to eat in the room. Head and tail lights traveled to and fro on the multiple monitors. Mesmerized by the sparse but constant traffic, Gator started to nod off. With a full stomach and no energy drink to wake him up, he had no way to fight sleep. He jerked his head back hard, causing him to grab the desk in a reflex action, and inadvertently brought the Douglas Street Bridge up on the big monitor in front of him. With bleary eyes, Gator stared at the empty bridge. He was about to change the main view back to Rock and Kellogg when he saw swift movement and heard a familiar sound. From one side of the bridge to the next, a dark figure darted back and forth, chirping, followed by a soft cooing resonated through the headset. Gator adjusted the earphones so they lay directly over his ears. He squinted and rubbed his eyes, and then squinted again. He stared at the monitor, waiting for whatever it was to cross the bridge. Henderson walked by the room and caught Gator's actions. What in the hell are you doing, Gator? Startled, Gator sat up quickly, causing his headset to fly off. Just checking something. You need to keep an eye on all of the traffic cameras, not just one, and put the headset back on. Jesus, how did I get stuck with you? Henderson shook his head as he walked back to the break room. Gator stood up and stretched in an attempt to wake himself up. He readjusted his chair and put the headset back over his ears. Staring wide-eyed at the monitors, he tried to will himself to stay awake, but within a few moments, his body and mind gave into sleep. Gator was fully immersed in a dream of Claire being imprisoned in Indiana while he searched endlessly for her. He was just about to cross the armed border when a woman's screams startled him awake, causing him to fall out of his chair. Gator pulled himself up. Movement from the monitor displaying the Douglas Street Bridge drew his attention. He put the headset back on and heard cries for help. The only vehicle in the camera's view was a late-model SUV with something large sitting on its hood. Gator zoomed in further to get a better look. The traffic light facing downtown turned from red to green. The dark figure on the SUV looked up, its eyes reflecting back the light, seemingly staring right at Gator.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.
You're listening to Big World Network.